All right, hey, shalom, shalom. Before I get started, as always, I want to give all praise unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. With salutations and blessings to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four winds of the earth that believe wholeheartedly in the true doctrine that's being pushed throughout the four winds of the earth for our mercy and salvation during the time of Jacob's trouble, as well as when Yahweh Shai returned to the planet Earth. To you and to you only, I say shalom, and may Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai continue to rain down grace and mercy upon you and your household. All right, another in transit, and I'm going to entitle this one In Transit, Many False Prophets. And this comes at the wake of not only, going back to when Genesis first uh, came with the non-Israelite salvation doctrine, but now they're even saying that heathen are going to judge Israelites in the kingdom. Just totally going all the way off, which, they are super bugged out, and they're going to continue to wax worse and worse. But the main reason the Spirit hopped on me to do this video was a video that I was listening to last night on my ride, running, doing my loads and whatnot. And it was Apostle Tar's video. He uploaded two. He uploaded one entitled Keep That Same Energy, which was a snippet of different Israelites mocking the MOTB as being the RFID micro CHIP, or denying the fact, but then covering their ass and saying if they do introduce the CHIP, you not to take it. So it was that video, and then after that, the video where two callers called in Captain Tazariak's show back to back, asking him about the MOTB, right? And I see that as a sign from Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, getting ready to put all you false prophets out there. You're being put on notice in the spirit, because here it is. He's had this radio show, as he calls it, his Car Chronicles, I believe that's what he calls it, Captain Tazariak, where he sits in his vehicle and he has people call in. And you had one Issacharite brother from out here in California. I think he was from the Bay Area. And then you had another right after him. And I was getting all this from Apostle Tahar's video he was commentating on. And then you had another guy call in right after the Issacharite brother with the same question about the MOTB. And you could tell Captain Tazariak, when he came to the second bro, even the first bro, he was going off because he was doing nothing but slandering the Apostle Tahar. You know what I'm saying? Calling him a piece of you know what, and just straight up down talking him, because he brought out in the scriptures in the ancient world the law on rape, and he got offended and he got emotional about it. And he's still offended and emotional about it, but he wasn't offended and emotional when one of his men the head over the Philadelphia ISUPK, he advocated for Chris Rock to straight up commit adultery, right? And then he said the ISUPK don't advocate for you to put anything in your body. But going back to 2021, you motherfuckers was telling Jake they'd be stupid if they don't take the so-called the COVID poison, the jump shot. So you false prophets are being put on notice, man, through the spirit. And I saw that in the spirit because those two brothers who were sincerely calling in to get your take on the MOTB being the RFID technology. And even the second bro said he basically said in a roundabout way, you see where technology is going and everything is happening, and Cesariak really didn't have no answer. He really didn't have no answer. He was changing the subject. Even the first brother asking him if he was on drugs and all this old bullshit. Like he's this guru when he's nothing more but a false prophet, man, that knows a little something. Okay? And the little something he knows, he learned it from Great Millstone. Okay? So through the spirit, that's what I think I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it in transit false prophets being put on notice. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shemel Shai, all you false prophets are being put on notice, man. All right? And the Lord is gonna deal with you. Okay? Ever since them two cronies at Genesis came with this non-Israelite salvation bullshit, the Lord has literally been putting the spotlight on all you false prophets. Where do you stand with this? Where do you stand with the MOTB? Right? And majority of you still can't see the MOTB is the RFID technology. Some of you still can't see Cornelius is an Israelite, right? And a lot of you, especially you Old Testament only Yah Israelites, you're linking up with these Genesis bozos, and y'all are really pushing this Israelite or non-Israelite salvation bullshit. So through the spirit, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is putting all false prophets on notice. All right? You're being put on notice through the spirit, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm seeing in the spirit. Okay? So let's get these scriptures. I don't want to make this too long. First one here is Matthew 24:11. It says, and many false prophets shall rise. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of false prophets out there, man. Okay? A lot of you are showing yourselves to be false prophets, leading the Lord's people astray. And all that blood is going to be on your hands when they do implement the MOTB as the RFID micro C-hip as the mark of the beast. All that blood is going to be on your hands because your people ain't going to know where to go, what to do. All right? And a lot of them are watching Great Millstone, and they seeing where society is headed as far as the technology and whatnot. And they seeing that it makes all the sense in the world that has to be the mark of the beast. Okay? All you got to do is look up the words. Okay? But you're so proud and you want to be him when you were never him, right? that you just bucking up against it, because you ain't that stupid. You can't be that stupid. Okay? So again, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Right? So there's going to be a lot of Israelites that are deceived because they're not going to know, because they following these false prophets right into a ditch, right into the ditch of receiving that mark. All right, and that's gonna be them slating or sealing themselves for an appointment with nuclear destruction. All right, like the scripture tell you in Second Ezra, the 16th chapter, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and trodden underfoot. Right, because you're gonna have a lot of our people consent onto these goddamn devils in their technology, right? With the RFID micro C here, and them not being able to buy or sell, not being able to operate in society because the teacher or the false prophet that they were following didn't build them up, didn't build their faith up for them to step out on it when that time comes. All right? So that blood will be on your hands. And that go for all you false prophets out there, man. Okay? All of you that buck up against the prophecy of the MOTB, right? That buck up against Israelite only salvation, right? All of you, man. Buck up against the law on grape. You're all false prophets, man. And you're emotional. Okay? Verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And you got to endure with this gospel, right? You got to endure holding on to the true gospel, all right? And us here at Great Millstone, beginning with the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, we are the true prophets of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you like it or not, right? It says, and this gospel of the kingdom, right, shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And this is why you're seeing the end getting ready to come, because the true gospel has been being preached throughout all the world. So much so you got these small hats doing these false flags, right? They're doing these false flags in order to take hold of the privacy of the internet so that they can try to put a stop to this word. We know what the hell's going on, right? We know exactly what's going on. And it's going to lead to the famine of the word and this thing blowing wide open, right? To bring in the end. So let's hit 1 John 4. 1 John 4 and 1. It says, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of the Most High, right? And the apostles have always said, all right, ever since they came on YouTube, and I'm sure they were said before they were on YouTube, don't believe what we say. Go check it out for yourself. Go do your own research. You see us out here teaching, you taking your notes, you got your highlighter or whatnot, you writing things down. After you hear us bring it out, you go look it up for yourself so that you can have it. Like the scriptures tell us, let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. The only way you're going to be fully persuaded in your own mind is if you go do the research yourself. Like Priest Danyala, what was that, last week? Maybe I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that, where he came out and he did a video and he said he had did the research and he came to the conclusion that Cornelius has to be an Israelite. And the apostles praised him on that, man. Okay? So the only way you can be fully persuaded in your own mind is if you do the research on your own. You go look things up on your own. All right? So, and that's how you try the spirits, whether they be of the Most High, right? Because many false prophets are going out into the world, right? So this is for all you new believers, right? You newer believers who watching all the Israelite camps, all the different groups, and you don't know which one you're supposed to follow. Well, you should be following what the scriptures say. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of the Most High, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. All right, and that's point blank. Period. There be many false prophets that are going out into the world, and we seeing them. We've been seeing them, but now it's becoming more and more blatant that they out there, man. Okay, because of the Most High is putting you all on notice by having Israelite bystanders. I'll put it that way. Israelite bystanders starting to question you. Okay, and to have two callers call Captain Tazariak's show back to back with the same question, with the same topic, that shows it through the spirit. That shows that you false prophets are being put on notice. Okay? So from here, let's get a couple more. Let's go to Luke 21. Luke 21 and 8, it says, and he said, take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, right? ICPK uses the name Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, but they usually, throughout their speakings, they'll use the C word. They'll use the JC word, which is an indicator to me that, Esau is all in your back pocket. He's all in your back with batteries, right? Because us, you shouldn't even be using those terms, JC, or the C term, as an Israelite, man. Because the image that pops into people's heads when you say those words is the so-called white man. Okay? So it says, and he said, take heed that ye be not deceived. Right? These are Yahweh Shai's words. Take heed that you be not deceived out here by these false prophets. They put on the grand show. They sound, they say a whole lot of stuff right. But when it comes to the prophecy of your salvation, they lead you right to a ditch. And they'll let your ass fall right in there too. Because of their pride, because they have sold out, okay? And they care not for the sheep because they're hirelings. Okay? It says, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. We here. All right? We here to where you gonna have to really pick who you finna follow into these times that we're entering into. All right, we are here. No, make no mistake about it, man. Let me get that one in John 10 about the hireling, right? Because you're gonna have a lot of these guys uh shake the spot on the Lord's people when all hell breaks loose. When that C hip is made mandatory, right? You're gonna have a lot of these false prophets congregations, false prophets gonna straight up and leave on them. Ain't gonna be nowhere to be found. Gonna leave them out there hanging out to dry. This is the book of St. John chapter 10, 12, and 13. It says, but he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, right? See if the wolf coming. You can't tell me these guys don't see what the so-called white man is doing. You can't tell me. That go from Genesis to the ISUPK to the IUIC to the HOI to all these groups, right? Whose leaders don't speak on this technology that's being erected, this digital prison that's being set up right around you, right up under your nose. You can't tell me they don't see it. These men ain't dumb. They not stupid. Okay? They can't be that. They can't be that stupid. So what's the only other option? You have a bunch of sellouts, or the Lord just truly have blinded the minds of you. Okay? So it says, but he that is an hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming. And the wolf is coming by way of the technology, the B system, and ultimately the RFID technology he's going to make mandatory upon everybody on the planet. And we're the only ones who seem to see it in our or on the rooftop screaming to the top of our lungs. All right, we're the only dogs barking, letting you know, right? So it says, excuse me, over my little sniffling, trying to something tries to jump on my flesh. But anyway, it says, and leaveth the sheep, right? They see the wolf coming and leaveth the sheep. How are you leaving the sheep? You're not warning them. You're not giving them the true knowledge, the true MOTV prophecy. Okay, you're saying it's an act that you commit. It's a spiritual mark that you have with this system, and you in your hand is the action that you're gonna perform, and in your head is get the fuck out of here, man. How can you buy or sell with something spiritual? But you know what? The elect is seeing it. The elect see what time it is, man. All right? And they not gonna fall for you false prophets and your bullshit. Okay? So it says so like it, see if the wolf coming and leaveth the sheep and fleeth, and the wolf catcheth them and scattereth the sheep. And that's what's gonna happen. A lot of y'all are gonna be scattered, right? You're gonna be scattered out here because you don't know which way to go. You're not asking and praying to the Heavenly Father, right? You're not going behind who you're listening to and looking things up for yourselves. You just blindly following these dudes, and that's gonna be to your own destruction. Verse 13: the hireling fleeth because he is an hireling and careth not for the sheep. And if you blatantly lying to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai's uh people, you don't care about Israel, but yet you hear these the black community this, the black community that. You don't give a fuck about the Lord's people, man. Okay? Only thing you worried about is getting your numbers up so you can bring in more money to your organization. That's what it's all about with these dudes, man. It ain't about nothing else but filling their own belly, man. When money is finna be obsolete, it's finna be digital. All right? Money is about to be digital. All right? let's get uh let's get Peter and then I'll close it out. You know? Just wanted to speak on this, man, because it's amazing. Let's go to the second chapter straight to the point. Second Peter 2, verses 1 and 2, right? It says, but there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, right? So the scriptures speak about false prophets being out there, man. You know, a lot of y'all wonder why we all can't just get along and come together because there are too many false prophets out there, man. Real prophets don't get down with the false prophets. All right. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, as you see with Genesis. The heathen gonna be able to judge us in the kingdom, all right? Non-Israelite salvation, questioning the Hebrew now, right? These are all damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And we're gonna start to see swift destruction come upon you false prophets. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And like you heard Captain Tazariak calling Apostle Tahar, all just calling him all out his name, all right, because he brought out the truth of the scriptures concerning grape, and you speaking evil of the man, and you're gonna have to pay for those words, man. All right, all you false prophets out there are being put on notice through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Lord will, this was edifying to the hopeful elect, giving all praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and we on to the next. Shalom.